I just got the notification and we're live streaming.
Yes, yes,
Are we
we are
live? Are we
actually.
already live?
Yes, we actually are live. And you know what?
We early. We're actually early for once.
We could just go ahead and get it going.
I'm ready. I'm so ready for this episode.
Yes, let's do this. Let's do this. Let me mute myself so you can intro us properly.
All right. All right. So, welcome everyone. Welcome to Reflect, Recalibrate. Whoop whoop. We are your lovely lady artivist hosts, the lovely Janet E. Dandridge and myself, Danny Snyder. This is our last episode of 2025. Say what? Today, we're reflecting on the total awesomeness of our guests, what we've learned in this last year, and our bestest takeaways, and our most best and our best takeaways, all the takeaways for things we've learned, things that we're maybe learning about ourselves personally, things that we're learning about the world. I'm excited to get into it. Are you excited, Janet? Or are you dealing with technical stress over there?
I am very excited. It's just interesting how things have progressed and things are still being worked on since we
Yeah.
started this three-part collection live stream this year of 2025. So
Groovy
I'm
baby.
good. I'm ready. I'm so excited about today. So let's just get
Yeah.
into it.
I was gonna say I'm actually really proud of you. You've learned a lot about this. Like I'm so glad you took this on this whole technical thing.
All of this.
Yes, it's a lot. It's a lot. So I'm proud of you. As far as like talking about transformations today, like you've learned a lot about how to do live streams and do it good, and we're getting better and better. I say we, it's totally you. You're getting better and better. All right,
Because
yeah.
you know what's funny is
Oh,
just speaking to that because
yeah.
we are reflecting right
Yeah.
this year like what's been happening. I studied in undergrad in New York City. I studied film and television production. And one of my courses dealt with news broadcasting.
Mm,
And one of the positions in news broadcasting is the technical director.
hmm.
And so I associate what I've been doing with live streaming to the technical director, getting
Yeah.
all of these things in order, making sure all those things work. So finally, the undergrad Bachelor of Science degree that I received actually is helping me.
Oh, don't say it like that. Don't say it like that. Oh my God. I'll never forget this one moment. I just finished my theater degree and I'm at home with my nephew who's like 2 years old and we're pretending to be zombies and I'm pretending to be a zombie chasing him around the house. And my dad's over there going, "Oh, I'm glad the theater degree came to use finally." And I'm like, nah.
Oh wow, that's
Ah.
yeah. I mean, you know what? To be honest, all of it was very helpful. Going to university, receiving the degrees. The most significant aspect of going to the universities was the relationships that
Mhm.
I've been able to nurture and
Mhm.
been able to receive from just being in those spaces. Speaking of which, one person I just texted saying, "Hey, we're on right now, so watch or listen." So yeah, college, university.
Yeah. Maybe we'll talk about that next year after we see what the heck is happening to our colleges and universities. But let's get into the question we have for our audience today. This is a question that we posted on social media earlier this week, and we're going to pose it again here. So please feel free to write into the chat if you're streaming in live or if you're listening to us from your car, from your cozy beanbag. Just take a moment to think about this. Janet, do you want to read the question or would you like me to?
Sure. I
Okay.
will read the question. I am just looking at what's happening online as a technical director just to make sure everything is working well. And I'm going to read this first question and I'll put it in the chat for everybody. What's your bestest takeaway from the 2025 RFC collection?
collections, right? Because we had three
Collections.
collections.
Yes, you're right.
We did
Collections.
finish our one collection for design, but the three main I'm gonna say questions. The three main collections that we did in this last year was transmuting artificial intelligence. That was the first one. The next one was fabric and crowns.
Well,
Oh, wait a minute.
it was the design advocacy collection.
Well, yeah, so that's what I was saying. We finished that one in this year, but technically we
Okay.
did start it last year. So I still
Right.
included it on our list. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I did mention that design advocacy. I might have just said design, my bad. But yes, a design advocacy collection. And then we closed out with the environmental art and advocacy collection. So four
And we had the
collections.
fabric and crowns collection in there.
I said that too.
Oh, you did? Oh, I'm
You're
sorry.
just multitasking. It's all good.
My bad.
Don't worry, I did not forget about Nawili. I would not forget about her ever, ever.
Okay, so I'm going to put that question in the chat to y'all. Let's see. Here we are. All right. So, Danny.
You can have me start with my bestest
Yeah,
takeaways and best takeaways.
absolutely.
I think we
Absolutely.
said best, most best, and bestest. That's how we were gonna rate them.
The bestest.
um, I'm gonna start with the most recent collection, the Environmental Art and Advocacy collection. I would say third place for me for best takeaway was, and this might be kind of a boring answer, but it was just expanding my understanding and framework for the definition of environmental art. I came into that collection with a definition in mind, which was that environmental art is art done in an environment that maybe not is not a typical art space, so not like a gallery, not like a theater, and that could be potentially using nature within the art form, so like twigs and sticks, or it could be recycling and repurposing man-made objects like plastic, and that it has this objective to some sort of objective within climate change, within saving the planet, environmental justice. So that was where my brain started. But then throughout that collection, I was like, oh yeah, what about like environmental theater and all these things that I had studied that I'd totally forgotten about? And it was funny. I was like, why did I forget about that? Because I used to love doing environmental theater. So if I can for a second go down a little bit of a rabbit hole, basically after that collection, I started thinking a lot of like, okay, I remember back in college where we would, practice a scene, me and my scene partner, and we'd go into a cafe and we would do this scene, and people would be like, "Wait a minute, is this real life or is this what is this? What's happening?" Right? And the idea was that the acting would be so good people would think it's real life, right? And maybe we're doing a scene about capitalism or whatever. And I was like, "Okay, now we live in a world where especially with phones, with TikTok and everything, I'm like, everything feels like theater to me." And then it even brought back all my studies in performance in the theory of performance and how all the world is a stage, right? Everything is a performance. And so it kind of got me thinking of like, well, then is everything environmental theater? I don't know. So that was kind of the rabbit hole I went down, but I just realized that like I didn't realize there were so many different variations to the definition, different ways people were applying it. And it kind of got me excited about doing that kind of work again, figuring out a way to do environmental theater again.
That episode definitely made me consider how I perform in public space
Hmm.
and reiterated how I strive to be environmentally conscious when I am creating works, especially photography works, which paper and ink are used at high volume.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder about how I can create photography without such a deep environmental impact. And something that
Mm-hmm.
Sari Nordman said about being one person and doing the work, we know that, hey, like you're going to have to use certain things that are not aligned with environmental consciousness. I asked the question about reconciling that as an environmental artist. How do you utilize materials and technologies that are not environmentally sound? And so that question, that answer for me just helps provide me with knowing that I am going to do my best as I can, as best as I can.
Mm-hmm.
And when I have to utilize technology, such as online streaming services, to get the work across, I need to use that, but I just need to be conscious about how it impacts the earth.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it sucks because it's just like, well, gosh, I kind of don't want to use any of it, but
Yeah.
how can I not use it in this day and age?
Yeah. 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 Yeah, I think what was the way that she had said it? She was like, I'm always, just being born, I'm automatically contributing to the carbon footprint. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? I'm already like, I
Like,
can't help
goddamn.
it. I'm gonna be making an impact no matter just breathing. I'm making an impact, like no matter what. And I was like, yeah, I guess that's a little, that makes me feel a little validated. uh, and I appreciate it. It's like, okay, the way I kind of took what she was saying, which for those of you who are not familiar with Saudi Nordman, we interviewed her in our second episode of that collection. So please go check out her work. It's amazing. And in fact, as far as like kind of takeaways are concerned, one thing I am going to try is this knotting method that she developed in weaving. In my mind, it looks like weaving plastic together to make these like cool boa looking things and flags. I'm gonna try her method of knotting plastic together for a project I'm doing with my students next year for a big Earth Day event that we're doing. So that is something I'm gonna steal from her. Maybe she can help me with that. But I'll be like, hey, can you just like, show me this technique that you've been developing for years for free?
Yeah. Do it
um,
in do it in 10 minutes.
but yeah, the way I took what she was saying was like, it's like no matter what, I'm contributing to the carbon footprint, right? But what can I make up for what I'm extracting and putting into the air, right? It's like for the materials I'm utilizing, the CO2 I'm putting in the air, like what can I do to offset that a little bit, by like educating people, for example. I'm still going to like reduce my carbon footprint as much as I can, but then I'm going to make up for that by educating people and doing these kind of projects. So I was like, I liked this idea of balance, trying to balance the guilt with
Oh, balance. Oh, balance. Wow,
yeah.
wow, wow. So, who's your number 2 slot?
Number two. Number two and number one are pretty close together for me. Uh, I think I'm going to say for number two, it's going to be from the Transmuting Artificial Intelligence collection.
With some killer.
With, yeah, we
Some
interviewed some in our second episode, and
of that collection.
yes, of that collection. And man, some is so well articulate and just like to me, it's like I don't want to say he speaks like a politician at all, but like just the way he's very poetic. I mean, it makes sense. He's a, rhythm and poetry artist, right? Like it just makes sense the way he uses repetition and the way he speaks and his flow. Like, man, I could just listen to him for forever.
Yeah.
And
He be rapping. He be rapping all the
yeah,
time.
right. So in that episode with him, and in some of my research leading up to that episode, I had never really considered a utopia where, like for me, whenever we ask that question, like what would be in your utopia, and I think what would be in my utopia, I had never considered a utopia where AI and robots were doing all the work so that we could just play. I
Hmm.
that like I guess like in some of my utopian ideas, maybe it was a little sci-fi and there were maybe robots and computers and things, but like I had thought more of like, oh, I'm in a village in a actually I didn't really imagine too much as far as electricity other than like,
Mm.
I was like, we trade food, we trade I don't know. It was I guess a much older idea of a utopia, a more native idea. And I was like, well, I like this idea of, there's computers and robots doing everything so I can just play. But I guess in my utopia, I imagined more like nature. So I don't know where all these like buildings with all these data centers, like I don't know where all that would be in that kind of utopia and how we would still be, what's the word I'm looking for? Like something for the planet. We would be people of the planet is basically where I'm going.
Stewards.
Stewards, thank you. That's the word I was looking for. Stewards of the planet.
Hmm.
So,
Hmm.
but it just kind of, that was the other rabbit hole led me down was like just this idea of work and play. I guess in my utopia, I still imagined I was going to be working as an artist, but I'm like, no, I wouldn't have to be working. I would be playing as an artist. I would just get to make art and not have to put any monetary value on it, take as much time with it as I want. And then it could just be joyful. you know,
Yeah.
none of this joy would be sucked out of it by having to put a price tag on it and have to like sell it so that I can buy cheese or whatever.
Oh boy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The the commodification, the monetization element that comes up in a lot of our conversations with some as far as what he said about that, what I interpreted was not that the machines would be doing all the work for us per se, but we would definitely be living life and enjoying
Mm-hmm.
the existence of living and being
Mm-hmm.
around other beings. And something he said per, pertaining to that was to not do anything that's unnatural to you when
Right. Right.
utilizing artificial intelligence.
Mm-hmm.
Because then, if it's unnatural, you are not being true to yourself
Mm-hmm.
and you are sort of overextending what it is that you need to do to fulfill what you believe is going to create the output, the work that you want to create. And that's something that I took away from what he was saying, to not do anything unnatural to yourself. I also took away those 5 pieces of advice that
Yeah.
are aligned with what he said about not doing something that's unnatural to you. The way
Mm-hmm.
you engage with artificial intelligence, those 5 pieces were study history,
Mm-hmm.
determine if artificial intelligence can help you solve a problem, don't do anything unnatural to you,
Mm-hmm.
engage with artificial intelligence when necessary, talk to your fellow artists, and it's actually one more, so it's 6 pieces of advice. Develop your point of view.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Just giving those steps. I love it when people give us steps.
Yeah. Yeah. I was actually thinking like that should just become like a question that we ask people like what are the first three things we should do right now? Go.
Go. Yeah. Tell us now. Steps. Outline.
Which is funny because like with Sadi, for example, when I was kind of pushing her to like talk about the importance of interdisciplinary work, she was like, "Oh, well, I wouldn't want to tell someone what to make. If they just want to paint, let them paint. And I'm like, okay, that's fair. That's fair. Yeah. But I'm definitely an advocate for interdisciplinary work, and if you're like, I just want to paint, that's all I want to do. I'm like, okay, that's I can relate a little bit to that. Like in my band, I just want to play drums. They keep trying to get me to sing. People are always like, "Oh, do you play guitar? Do you play this?" And I really love it when I see musicians that can play multiple instruments. But I was like, as far as the music world goes, I just want to do percussion. I just want to do that. I
Yeah.
don't want to, and that's enough as it is. Like marimba, like timpani, drum set. That's enough of, And then we can get into like congas and other, djembe. We can get everything. It's still like very interdisciplinary in my opinion.
That's
But
the number one step.
yeah.
Do what's natural to you.
Mm-hmm. 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 Right. Especially when you got one life to live. So does that mean we're not doing social media anymore?
Gosh, yo, this question is what we're going to be discussing in our next off camera meeting about this show, Reflect, Recalibrate, the podcast on the genealogy of artivism. What do we do with social media? However, it does lead to, if I may, before you
Mm-hmm.
give your sort of number one spot,
Yeah.
um,
Well, also, so those were your two. Was that in your order as well? Your two takeaways that
no,
you just
no, no.
shared?
I didn't actually look at them in that structure
Oh, in that ranking.
hierarchically.
Got it.
Yeah, I didn't look at them in a ranking. I was just thinking about all the takeaways
Yeah.
I had, and so what you were saying about, or what we were just going over, which pertains to process and who we are within the design advocacy collection with Greg
Mm-hmm.
Bunbury. I appreciated how he articulated his methodology.
Mm-hmm.
That has helped me further understand the sort of guidelines that I want to utilize with my work and how I create my work. And his definitions, he gave us succinct definitions about
Mm-hmm.
advocacy and activism. And it was just so helpful. As we were saying in the episode, I think you might have mentioned, like, man, it would have been great for him to be your professor. He's a lecturer,
Yeah.
but just thinking
Yeah.
about if he was the professor in the school where we were. And I'm thinking, like, man, I want to play this episode for my students because
Yeah.
of how he outlined how he works,
Mm-hmm.
his methodology, for them to understand methodology and how you create that. And that directly relates to what some said about developing your point of view.
Mm-hmm.
You have to know how you work, how you process, how you create what you want. Someone said to me one time, you got to do soul searching. Doing that soul searching, allowing for it to flow, that is one of these takeaways that is helping me specifically, really, right now in organizing my workflow.
Mm.
Having this structure. Okay, so I have these exhibitions coming up, or I have these talks coming up. So how do I structure these things? And I know they're all aligned, and that's something else he was talking about. All the things that I do, they're all the same. I mean, it's just different outputs,
Mm-hmm.
different outlets, and recognizing that and knowing that, how you can build on that to create a methodology that you can continue to utilize and you can grow, but
Mm-hmm.
it just helps with your workflow.
That's really funny you mentioned workflow because my one number one takeaway definitely is gonna F up my workflow for sure.
Oh Lord.
Yeah. But yeah, I think like did you want to share any of those definitions from Greg Bunbury, or should we tell people that yeah, go listen to
Yeah,
it?
go listen to that episode, the design
Yeah.
advocacy collection.
I
Yeah.
will say I like it when I hope our fans like it too, but I like it when we get real theoretical, when we get into the definitions. Do I like reading all the like executive orders and bills and those things? But definitely like the theory. I really like theory. In fact, I think sometimes what I do is too much theory. Um, should I go into number one?
Yeah.
Okay, so for my number one takeaway from the Fabric and Crowns collection, when we interviewed Nawili,
Mama
who
Nawili.
I think this was not, we were talking about like, hey, should we have awards or something? I don't know if we have an award for this, but if we had the best storyteller award, it would totally go to Nawili. Holy cow, like her stories. And we went way over time on that episode too. But I remember at the end, I had to pee so bad. I was like, y'all, I'll be back. Like, because we were with her for so long. But man, it was like, I was, I remember being on the edge of my seat and just being like so pulled into the way she described these different transformations from, just even how it felt in her body physically. And yeah, you guys got to go back and listen to that episode. I can't do it justice describing the presence of Nawili, but you will be pulled into her presence for sure. So with her in that episode, I can't remember if you asked or I asked it, but we were asking her how long this one piece took her to make. And she was like, I have no idea. And but then she followed it up with, I don't know. And I'm okay with that. And I'm okay with answering the question like that. And it kind of made me think, I was like, I wonder if people have pressured her before to try to estimate about how many hours her work takes.
Mm.
Or I wonder if she's ever felt that kind of pressure to put that time on it. But for me, I was like, whoa, like how do you have a workflow if you go into a project and you're just gonna finish when you finish, you're gonna be done when you're done. How does that how do you how do you buy cheese? I don't know. Like so, for me, I've always equated when I put a price tag on my work, which I hate doing and I suck at it, but when I do it, it's based on I thinking about like how many hours am I putting into this and about how much should I get compensated per hour, right? And I'm thinking about like if this is for a community thing where I'm like, okay, I'm not going to charge as much per hour, or is this something like, like some mentioned, like, are you going to build empires off of my expertise?
Hmm.
Is this someone who better pay up, right? Um, I was like, I can't imagine going into a project and not being able to, or I shouldn't say not being able to, but like just not ballparking at all, just choosing not to ballpark about how many hours it's going to take me to do, and just
Yeah.
doing it, and just it's done when it's done, sort of thing. Wow. Like, because here's the thing, when you go watch her, y'all, when y'all tune into that episode and you're pulled into this presence, this calmness, this tranquility and this ease and this peace, you know, I want that in my life. I don't think just yoga and meditation is going to help me with that. I think like really embodying this concept. I don't even want to say concept of time. It's like a lack of concept of time, of just like being so present and with whatever it is you are doing, whether it is just sitting or whether it is like in her case, wrapping trees or wrapping hair, just being in it until it feels like, okay, I think it's done now. That moment is done now. And it could have been hours, could have been minutes. I don't know. I would like to have that kind of peace, and I think I need to dig a little bit deeper into that.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
know if I'm
Yeah.
explaining this very well. Does it make
Oh
sense
no,
to you
you
what I'm
are.
saying?
You
Okay.
are. You it makes sense to me. You are making me think of how we are living in this economic structure that forces us to monetize that which we create, and having to determine when does the labor begin for monetization. And this comes from thinking about what you're saying, as well as Lise Soscone of Working Artists and the Greater Economy, and the differentiation between labor, fees associated with labor, and when that begins. That
Mm-hmm.
relationship begins when we are talking to the institutions that are hiring us.
Mm-hmm.
But when we are creating, we are creating, we are in that space. And with Nawili, we were hearing this 50 plus years of wisdom
Mm-hmm.
of understanding how you need to live life and enjoy and allow for it to flow.
Mhm.
I got that from her in how she has that framework. That is her framework. That is her structure, not allowing for these elements of capitalism to influence how she works. Because let me tell you, knowing her personally, as you know, for many, 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 many years, calling her Mama Wheelie, um, now Wheelie always gets what she needs, man. She always gets what she needs. Always. It's it's amazing when you have that philosophy and those are your guidelines for yourself and you
Mhm.
put that energy into the world and how much she gives,
Mhm.
it's going to come back to you in the
Mhm.
way that it's been coming back to her. And I thoroughly enjoyed that episode. Like you said, I yeah, best storyteller. I mean,
Mhm.
everyone was such a great storyteller. However, with Nawili, it just like you say, it's like you listening to the elder, you sitting at her feet,
Yes.
and you just taking in all the wisdom. You know what I'm saying? That's how it was with that episode. I
Mhm.
did not want that episode to end. I don't want any of them to end, actually.
Mhm.
But just learning about her in that way, in this format, after knowing her for numerous years, and still being amazed by how she works, man, I was just like, look, can't I be more like now Willie G?
Right. Right. And so I
And
was like,
because she
that's why I was like, I gotta let go of the clock. Like I
right,
want to be more like Nawili, and I gotta let go of the clock.
remember what she said about radical self-love
Right.
and
Right.
radical self-care. Like they're not just buzzwords. It is a lifestyle. What does that mean? Radical self-care, radical self-love. Um, she also said it's our divine responsibility. Oh, I think she quoted somebody
She was
actually.
quoting, yeah,
She's Bell
exactly.
Hooks, I believe,
Mm-hmm.
our divine um, responsibility. I do have something funny to add about the
Uh-oh.
Nawili episode because one of the things that I did in thinking about this episode was thinking about certain things. It was just like, oh, let me check that. That was a question we had. Remember, we were talking about hair and nails growing after death?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yes, yes. So that is a myth.
Oh, it's a myth. Dang.
From what I discovered, because we were all like, is that accurate? I don't know. Okay. But from what I've read, the various articles that I did review, it's the illusion of the hair and nails growing because the dehydration of the body. So
Oh.
as it dehydrates, as it dehydrates, it looks like the nails are growing. It looks like the hair is growing.
Ah,
I thought that would be
interesting.
interesting to share.
Well, that's good. We
Yeah.
never, so I'll say, as far as transformations go, as a podcast host, like over this last year, reflecting me as a podcast host, I'm gradually getting more comfortable in this role. Like I love asking questions and hearing people talk, but the moment I got to start talking, I'm like, but you know, I that's always my biggest concern is like I always doubt myself of like because I want to consider myself an expert in art and activism, but I always worry of like I want to make sure I quote things correctly. I want to make sure I give titles correctly, dates, whatever it is, because I never want to misinform people. So that's good. We always check back and check our facts
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
acknowledge like, oops, made a little
Yeah.
mistake here. Sorry, y'all. Which is gonna happen. It's gonna happen. Um, yeah, that's cool. I'm glad you looked that up. I forgot about that.
Right. Man, that episode was wonderful. Okay. It
What
was wonderful.
did you have like was the radical self-love and self-care, was that your takeaway from that episode, or did you have another takeaway from that? I know you've been taking away from Nawili for a long time. So
I've been receiving. I don't want to say
or
take
shit.
away. I've been
But you
receiving.
know what I mean? But the
Yeah, I know what you mean.
takeaways,
I know what you
you
mean.
like, I'm sure every time you see her, there's like, oh, here's a little gem to put in my pocket
Yeah,
for the
yeah.
day.
Well, what I shared, about just allowing to be, allowing
Mhm.
myself to be, but it's been difficult. It's been challenging, especially now as a mom of a toddler, not having, you know, that sort of time accountability, I
Hmm.
feel like it's sort of impossible right now. Like it is impossible because I have to ensure that my kid is getting what he needs and I'm getting what I need, my partner, the household, everyone, we're all getting what we need. And so, really, a schedule is like seriously important. A schedule in the way that I need a schedule,
Yes.
which is, is highly organized in time and task completion. That leads to something else she said about there is no time and space. There is no time and space. I was like, this is amazing and crazy. And how do I do this?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
it's Nawili is a mother too, and Nawili's child is a grown man now. Her other son died when he was 8, I believe.
Hmm.
But after raising your child, or your children, your time does free up in a certain way, right? And you look at time and space completely different.
Hmm.
I'm looking at how that will look in the future with me as a mom
Hmm.
to my baby boy when he's a grown man, and I'm just like, oh yeah, I'm doing whatever. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't care. I'm just doing whatever. But I feel like with Nawili, she's always been like, and she's always been like that, and she's always been able. She was able to take care of her children, um, even in being, existing as she exists. And that also reflects the support system, your village.
Yes.
And
Right.
the
Right.
difference for me is that my family and my close friends, they're nowhere near where I am. So time and organizing is important, but I am still taking into account that the radical self-love and the radical self-care is important for me, and it's important for me to show to my child. So
Hmm.
taking away from the episode and keeping those things in mind throughout my existence, yeah, is something from all these episodes, that I keep in mind, and that I do my best to apply the lessons that I learned.
Hmm. I don't know if I should go into this next, so we might have to skip, but I will say what we're talking about really connects to the quote that I brought today for my nomination for the Mic Drop Award.
Okay, okay,
So
okay.
we can come back to this and talk about something else if we want, or we could go into that. What do you
You
think?
know what? I like the fact that that can be a teaser. So
Okay, okay. Table
let's
that.
table it. Table it.
Okay.
Keep on going on these transformations
Hmm.
and thinking about the other transformations, maybe not necessarily from the exchanges we had in conversation with our guests, but with the podcast itself.
Mm-hmm, hmm. Yeah, yeah.
We entered into a new format this season,
Hmm.
3-part collections live.
Hmm.
And
Thanks to our
so
I said executive director, our technical director.
that we agreed on this way to create more of an impact through the work that we do in this podcast. So practical stuff like the live streaming, the sharing
Hmm.
the screen, the
Hmm.
news bits, Danny. Remember,
Oh,
we
that's right. We
incorporated
started
news
introducing
bits.
news bits. Yeah, yeah.
What are
Which
your
is, I think
thoughts?
it's been a great way to open up the conversation. It's hard though to sometimes pick a news bit though. Whew.
Especially this year. Oh my
Oh my
gosh.
God. Yeah, as far as transformations go, I will say at the beginning of the year, I feel like I was very reactive at the beginning of the year. Like every time I heard something on the news, like, oh my God, this happened. Oh my God, this happened. And I'm like, you know, acting emotionally quickly too, instead of like, let me take a breath and let me maybe ask some questions first, do a little bit more digging into this and kind of distance myself a little bit from it, not get too involved in it. Also not make it personal because I sometimes I see certain people, I'm like, you're making this very much about you, and this is actually not about you. But I will say over the series of the podcasts relating to that, like looking at these news bits and how I'm engaging with journalism, it's like I have been able to be less reactive. I've been able to distance myself a little bit more. And that actually kind of relates to, as far as we didn't really talk about takeaways from the What You Gonna Do episodes, which is another thing that we added this year.
Yeah, that is a good
Yeah. But that was
pairing.
something else, like from the What You Gonna Do episodes when we talked about like anticipatory obedience, where we're like, we're acting before it's actually even like a thing we have to do yet. Like we're already being obedient when we actually don't have to be obedient yet. It's like just thinking like, let's take a step back, y'all. So everyone just take a big step back, maybe 3, 5 steps back, 10. Sorry. So I didn't mean to totally interrupt you. Yeah.
No, you didn't interrupt, did you? I don't think so. I think what you said, those two work together as far as, the transformations and you bringing up the news bits, what you're going to do episodes, which you all can go back and check out. We had the executive branch overreach. We had the artist, Do You Know Your Rights? I believe that was
Yep. Those were
the
our
two,
two special
right?
episodes.
Right?
I've been
Yeah.
sometimes calling them our bonus episodes. I don't know if we want to call them our bonus
Yeah.
episodes or our special episodes. But
You,
yeah, it was
you,
just Jan and I talking about the craziness that's happening in the world and
yeah,
what we're
like,
gonna do about it.
oh my gosh. The first one, the executive branch overreach. We were just talking about those executive orders that were coming out rapidly in the beginning of the year that are still
Hmm.
coming out.
Yeah.
And we specifically focused on how they were adversely impacting the arts. One in particular that I think about is what I mentioned to you pre show, the cancellation, the defunding of the public broadcasting service system.
PBS.
Yes. Oh, does the S stand for service or system?
I thought it was service, but maybe I'm
Let
wrong.
me just check that while we're talking about
It's funny that
this.
we don't actually know.
Oh my God, that's so it's just so funny. It's so funny. It stands for. But what PBS has provided, the public broadcasting service has provided,
Yeah.
which I just checked, remember, fact check. Um, these years of programming
Hmm.
that has inspired, informed, changed lives. We
Hmm.
specifically talked about Sesame Street and Patti LaBelle singing the ABCs,
Hmm.
and these fools wanted to defund Patti LaBelle singing the ABCs to the children, you know? And then looking at the year in review, it is defunded.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
hear across the board on all of these programs asking for additional donations to support PBS, to support NPR, to support all of these outlets that provide us with the information we need, the transparency that we need. They may not always do the best job, but we are provided with services that help us expand how we think and help us expand our spirituality, how we
Hmm.
take care of ourselves, that radical self love and that radical
Hmm.
self care.
Hmm.
Looking back at how, with that episode, we were highlighting that, and then now what we didn't want to happen.
Hmm.
Man,
Yeah. This is the year of pivot. Actually, Amy Funderburk just the other day was texting me. She was one of our guests on one of our study groups, and she referred to herself as the pivot queen. I was like, I think a lot of people, that's what they're calling themselves right now, the pivot queen, pivot king, pivot person. Yeah. And I want to be optimistic and be like, we will prevail. we will pivot and it will be better somehow. That's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah. Yeah, me too. That makes me think about artist rights, the other
Hmm.
special episode. What you're gonna do. And the pivot that artists must make. We live in this economic structure that is just not viable to how we live as artists, in wanting to create, right? Frolic along in the fields, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like provide love and beauty to people. What is that economic structure that we can create? That's what it makes me think of,
Hmm.
especially when we were talking about artist rights and we specifically focused on Washington, D.C. and artist rights. The language used in the codes for uh, the laws that impact artists and our creations. I wonder if there were artists at the table, as we say that
Oh,
phrase, when making those decisions. I highly doubt it, just as Danny is shaking her head in
twitching.
agreement, twitching. Uh, because if we were at the
Uh,
table, the language would be very different.
oh, yeah.
And you go back and listen to that episode, you'll understand what we're talking about further with the language and how creating a new structure, a new way of working would benefit not only the artist but everyone else. And this
Yeah.
is something we're talking about, the utopias, the quotes on utopias. I believe Greg brought up, just not having to deal with monetization
Yeah.
in your creation.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Like how can we thrive and be able to enjoy all of the things that humans have created without having to sell our souls?
Hmm. Yeah. I think, and I should fact check this. I'm pretty sure it was Emily Dickinson who wrote this poem where she talks about, actually, sorry, she might have put it in a poem, but there's a quote where she talks about how putting a price tag on her poetry, she actually kind of related it a little bit to like racism, which I have some issues with, but like that putting a price tag on her art or on her poem felt inappropriate because she felt like she was putting a price tag on part of her soul, that she can't sell part of her soul. So, and that's why she didn't sell her poems. Yeah.
That I looked it up for you. And the first thing that comes up from the AI overview is
Oh
that for
gosh.
for Emily Dickinson, putting a price tag on poetry was a moral disgrace, a
Yes.
foul act that
Yes.
desecrated the human spirit. God damn.
Yeah. 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 And it goes more, it's longer and it's deeper. And it's been a long time since I've looked at that quote. So thank you for AI checking that. Um
See, artificial intelligence, that wasn't unnatural to me. I just typed it into the search engine and it actually gave me the information back. But then I'm thinking, oh my gosh, it's using these huge spaces that house these
Yes.
large computers to transmit all this energy.
Yeah. And that's why I'm saying,
Books,
like, in my utopia, I'm like, well, if I'm like just hanging out in the woods, eating mushrooms and
eating
like,
shrimps.
and just hanging out with
Are you talking
people
about my life, Danny? Are you talking
playing
about my
playing the
life?
cajon and just being my hippie that I want to be. And then where are all those data centers? I'm like, are they in space? Are they underground? Have they figured out a way where we don't need data centers? Wouldn't that be amazing? I don't know. I don't know. That's the part where my brain needs to, maybe I need to ask AI. I need to expand my my utopia. Should we talk
Well,
about utopia?
oh my gosh. Yeah, sure. What I mean, why not? Why not? Why not? So, yeah, yeah. But what you said, you just made me think of. I heard something the other day about the lack of room in space because of all the satellites.
Yeah, truth. Yeah. Yeah, it's cluttered. It's really cluttered up there. You can't
Wow.
just float
So,
around because you get smacked with those
right,
satellite.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So,
Yeah.
utopias.
Utopias. Yeah. So for those of you who are like, this is the very first episode I've ever heard of Reflect Recalibrate, at the end of most of our episodes, we don't, Jan and I don't usually ask each other this question, but we ask our guests, what would be in your utopia? We ask that question at the end of each episode. Janet's already kind of shared what Greg Bunbury said in his episode. Do you want to share what some of the other folks said in the other episodes? And then we can kind of add on to that what our transformations are for our own personal utopias.
Well, real quick about that mic drop award that we're going to be doing.
Uh-oh.
Do some of your quotes involve the utopia
You know what's
quotes?
funny? One of the quote that I chose, I only picked one quote, and it's totally my utopia. And I've already kind of alluded to it a little bit. And but it wasn't a response to the utopia question. But
Okay.
I think it still probably would have been their response to the utopia question if we had made it a whole episode. Spend a whole hour talking about what would be your utopia. Oh, okay, well, here we go. So
Okay.
I think
Okay.
I think it relates to that. Yeah.
Okay. So we're gonna do the
Okay.
utopia stuff.
Okay.
All right. So as Danny mentioned, I have already shared Greg Bunbury's Utopia, and I've wrote down the exact quotes for most folks, but I paraphrased some other ones. So Greg Bunbury, free creatives from the grind of commerce.
Mm,
Free creatives from the grind of commerce.
please.
And I'll add on, can we just free all of us from the grind of
Yeah.
commerce?
Yeah.
Those economic systems, those structures. All right. I'll go to the next one. Shall I go to the next one,
Yeah.
Danny?
Yep. Go for it.
Some.
I'm
So,
already laughing because I remember what his was. And I was like, who was the way?
so Greg is from the Design Advocacy collection. Some is from the Transmuting Artificial Intelligence collection. Some had two Utopia answers. Thank you, some. The first one was or is an infinite, endless sea of persimmons. Just visualize that, everyone. An endless sea of persimmons. I hope I'm saying the fruit is a fruit, right?
What if someone's
Correctly.
allergic to persimmons?
Oh my gosh, that would be terrible if it's an endless sea. Oh no. That would be horrible. But I'm just seeing all of this orange, just beautiful orange,
Yeah.
like the green from the root, it just
Yeah.
everywhere. I'm imagining the Pacific Ocean and just being on the beach and seeing all of them. It's like I want to walk on them, sort of, kind of, but then it's kind of weird and kind of like, ugh, I don't know. It's so all right. So he said that was, the funny one. But the more serious
Hmm.
utopia answer is, and I paraphrased, all people and especially children have unfettered access to clean air, fresh water, good food, happy times, and safety. So,
Hmm.
again, all people and especially children have unfettered access to clean air, fresh water, good food, happy times, and safety.
Who could not get behind that?
Well, I know who, but we don't need to name
That's
names.
true. That's true,
All
actually.
all the
Yeah.
people in the USA government.
Hmm.
So now Wheelie G from the Fabric and Crowns collection. I love this one. Peace at least.
Hmm.
Again, peace at least.
Hmm. Hmm.
And y'all, in the chat, tell us how you feeling about these utopia quotes. All right. So we've had free creatives from the grind of commerce. We've had the infinite, endless sea of persimmons. We've had all people, and especially children, have unfettered access to clean air, fresh water, good food, happy times, and safety. And then we're going to end it with Sorry Nortman, Environmental Art and Advocacy Collection. Love, respect, lots of wilderness,
Hmm.
art education,
Hmm.
kindness, openness,
Hmm.
dance,
Hmm.
respect for nature,
Hmm.
and all kinds of animals. So, again, love, respect, lots of wilderness, art education, kindness, openness, dance, respect for nature, and all kinds of animals.
Like our unicorn,
Our utopia unicorn.
our RFC unicorn,
Yeah,
which I'll still
gotta.
somehow figure out to put into shirts where we can produce them in ways where it's ecologically friendly. One day I'll figure it out.
Mm, mm, mm.
These are some great utopias, man.
What would you like to add on to those utopias, Danny?
Well, you know what I was actually thinking real quick? I was thinking are these so radical? These imaginations, are they that radical?
Mm.
Like some people would be like, "Oh, that's just crazy. You crazy." Maybe a sea of persimmons. That might be a little crazy, but like,
It's imaginative. It's imaginative.
but yeah, no, I like radical imagination, and I don't think they're that radical. I don't think they're that crazy. So for me,
Well,
what would I
well,
add?
well.
Oh,
In
sorry.
this world, just a response to that. In
Yeah.
this society, how it is right now, they
Oh,
are
well,
radical, right?
yeah.
It is radical. Like you said, who would be against that? And like I said, the people who are actively supporting the murder and starvation of children in different spaces and places around the globe.
Hmm. Around the globe. Yes. All places around the globe. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the way we're moving backwards, it certainly feels more and more radical every day. Um, yeah, I guess like I don't know if I really have anything necessarily to add on. I want all those things. It's just again, I've just been thinking about like, well, how how can we continue to have like vaccines, for example, and people don't have to work as much. They don't have to live to work, you
Mm.
know? How can we have AI to cure our illnesses, but then we don't have data centers all over the planet and we have like Saudi said more wilderness. You know, that's what I'm wondering. It's like just how it would look. But I'm a visual learner. I'm a visual thinker. I'm thinking about all the sci-fi movies and the different utopias and what they looked like, right? And usually it's a lot of it's not wilderness. It's usually it's like post-apocalyptic places look like wilderness, right? Which I think is amazing. But like utopia visions usually don't. They're like big silvery buildings with like big computers and anyhow, I don't know.
Manicured lawns and bubbles.
Yeah, yeah. Um, I don't know. I don't know. Like Interstellar, what was that weird one? It was like
Yeah, you know
that's the one
exactly
that
what I'm
always
talking
comes to my
about.
mind actually. But it's still like not I don't know what a utopia looks like to me. But I'm like, yeah. So I don't know. I guess like for me, I'm just thinking about because when I'm doing this exercise, I'm thinking like a producer, what are the steps I need to take to get to that? What do we need
Mm.
to do to
Mm-hmm.
decolonize? What do we need to do to get
Mm.
rid of effing capitalism? Like that's where my brain goes. You know, I'm not just doing this just to like Like, oh, if I go on the lottery, what would I do with all that money? Like I like I'm like really like, no, what do we actually need to do to get there?
Mm,
Because I don't think
hmm.
it's so crazy, but I'm an
What
optimist.
I appreciate that. For real. What
Yeah.
you said about decolonization, what people have said, the phrase that I've heard a lot more this year is the decolonization of your mind.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Once you can decolonize how you think and what you think we're supposed to do, like we're trained to believe that we're supposed to work in a certain way. And that certain way in the United States is that we work to pay bills, we work to get our food, we work to have all the luxuries, we work to live. But what if we grew our own food? What if we exchanged
Mm-hmm.
seeds? What if we created, or maximized our use of community gardens? What if mutual aid was the method by which we live? What if bills weren't paid in the way that they are now, but in a way that, hey, these companies that have these sources are providing electricity and gas, or not utilizing that? We're using solar power and we're not having to pay out of the pocket crazy amounts of money for those things, right? Just thinking differently about how we live together on earth, about what living means, definitions. We start off at the top of this episode thinking or bringing up definitions. Maybe we talked about it in the pre-show, but how do we define life? How do we define living? you know
Yeah. Wow.
Obviously this experiment is 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 built on, in the United States, greed and hate and the misuse of human beings.
Hmm.
How can we ever have a way of living that is about love if that's the system by which we are living in, that it was founded on? It's
Yeah.
so, like you, I appreciate all of the utopias. I agree with all the utopias. And it's just a matter of how do we practice those things in our daily lives
Hmm.
to be able to achieve it collectively as humans all together.
Yeah, that's kind of like what you were talking about earlier with like Nawili. It's like, okay, the likelihood of capitalism burning to the ground before I'm dead. What's that likelihood? But is there a way where in my own practices and in my own life that I can burn capitalism as much as possible, and find better balance and experience more joy is my main thing. Because again, like
Mm,
once I put a price tag on it, it sucks some of the joy out of it. And that's like when I closed my film company down. I had a film company for 7 years, but when the
mm,
stresses of running the business outweighed the joy of making films, I was like, I'm done. And I closed it down. I was like, I need to take a step back and think about how I'm going to do this. And for
right.
a while, I only made art just for me. I took like a whole year where I was writing a lot of poetry and I was just making art for me. And I wasn't selling none of my art.
Mm,
And I wasn't actually performing at all. And
mm,
it actually was good to do that. But yeah, I think this is like a lot of artists' struggles finding this balance between making art for themselves, making art for their community, making art to make money, because that is their skill set, that is their expertise, and that's the society that we live in. How you balance all of those things, which leads me to my quote for the mic drop award. If you want me to
oh,
read
oh,
it.
wait, hold
Nope.
on.
Wait,
I'm
wait.
gonna put in the chat.
Uh-oh.
How have the RFC collections helped you, audience, in your day-to-day and or work
Oh,
practices?
my
And
bad.
even if you have not seen the collections, this means you can go back and watch
Yeah.
the collections and take the insights, whatever
Hmm.
you need, and utilize them, right?
My bad. I thought we had already posed that question because we already kind of started talking about that.
Yeah, yeah. It's just
We never actually
let.
asked the people.
No, we didn't. So just wanted to get that in there. So Danny, please.
All right. So this quote, it's from some. He had some amazing quotes, actually. This is a long quote. And it does, he said this before he gave his utopia answer. So now the utopia answer will make even more sense now. So I'm going to say it the way I say it. I'm not going to pretend I'm talking like some. I'm not going to try to do that. You are purring right into the microphone, by the way. Sorry, my kitty cat has just decided to come on screen. Okay, can you pause for a second? Thank you. Okay, so from the Transmuting Artificial Intelligence episode 2 of that collection, some said, I would rather be doing my activism for free. I would rather not have to charge because it is my work to help lift consciousness and help expand the conversation. Unfortunately, because of the capitalistic structures that we are in and the pressures we are under, I have to figure out how to monetize certain aspects of what I do, and not by choice. It's not because I want to be recognized for the monetary value of my expertise. I don't care about that. My expertise is here for humanity's service, ultimately. Now, if you're about to use my expertise to go build your empire, then you got to pay me. I'm going to skip a little bit ahead here. But if you're just an artist or an individual or someone who is walking on behalf of the community and humanity and you just trying to figure things out, I would much rather not have to charge you for what I'm good at. I'm here for you. That's what we're here for. We're here to get better. We're not here to make money. We're not here to survive. We're here to get better and to have fun and dance and listen to music and to make babies, to climb trees and eat good food. That's literally what we're here for. We're here to go swimming in the waters. We're here to go running down the beach. We're here to make we're here to make boats, then get in the boats and sail to the other island, then go smoke on what's on that island. Sorry, I got distracted because Janet's making so many hearts right now. Let me go back. We're here to go swimming in the waters. We're here to go running down the beach. We're here to make boats, then get in the boats, then sail to the other island, then go smoke on what's on that island, and then go back to where we're at and gather more fruit for them and their families for the next time we go visit them. That's what we're here for. I'm not here to make money for my expertise as an AI specialist. I mean, listen to how stupid that sounds in the context of the humankind I just spoke to. The humankind that I just spoke to is that we're here to run the earth and enjoy the weather and love on each other. You know what I'm saying? We're here to learn from, we're not here to learn from me about ethical AI frameworks. You know what I'm saying? So, me charging is just a symptom. Me making money off of what I do is a symptom of the sickness that we are in.
Mm,
You guys got to go back and listen to the episode and listen to the way he says it. It's so good. I think at the end we both applauded.
mm, mm. We here to love on each other.
Yeah. Mic drop.
That look,
Does that win? Does that win the mic drop award?
look. I'm just saying, you know what? Maybe we need to change how we're framing this about the mic drop award. Um, because I say that because man, there's so many quotes that was just
Yeah.
so awesome.
Yeah.
Um, but because we had the bestest and the bestesses and the
The bestest, the best, no, the best is the most best and the best.
yes, and so I think we only have two. Um, and maybe we just need to give awards out. Maybe
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel like that right there, that right there summed it up.
Yeah.
Damn it, some
Yeah.
using your name in.
Yeah.
Damn it. But yes, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Just
I
dance.
yeah. And that what he was saying, I was like, that speaks to the world I want to be in. Now, I had not considered AI being in the background, making that possible for me to live this kind of life. I had not considered that. That was my takeaway from that episode. But Uh, yeah, I'm like, wouldn't that be amazing? And like, can I do that right now? Is there a way I can do that right now? I think I can. Like, there's some
Yes.
aspects of that I can do right now. I need to figure out how. Kitty food ain't cheap, especially I buy really nice kitty litter.
Well, here we are again.
Here we are again.
Here we are back
And I
to the
really like good
capitalism.
cheese. I don't like shit cheese.
Don't take me out of that space that you had me in with So's quote. Oh my
We're gonna
gosh.
go to the island. We're gonna smoke on what's on that island. We're gonna come back. We can gather more fruit. We're gonna go smoke, gather fruit, smoke, gather fruit.
Yes,
I'm like,
yes,
yes,
yes.
yes, 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 yes,
Dance,
yes, and
make babies, all that
maybe
good
maybe
stuff.
not make babies for me, but
Oh,
the
it's cool.
process
It's
is making
cool. It's cool.
babies
Whatever
under
works
the
for you.
trees.
Whatever works for
Yeah,
you. She said the process.
under the trees with the flowers and the
Yes,
persimmons.
yes, yes, yes. Persimmons, persimmons.
I always have a hard time saying that word. I'm glad I'm not the only one.
Yeah, I mean, we could easily,
Persimmons.
right, look it up and just be like, okay, that's but it's just like, come on.
Fact check.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, no, wrapping the trees, right? Making these wonderful text works, right? Doing this environmental art participatory works that bring in people to create with you. So, okay. I do have one quote that
Okay.
stood out from what I reviewed.
Mm-hmm.
And this just speaks to me so much, right? And my quote is like absolutely 4 words, 4 or 5 words, something like that, something like that.
Oh,
So,
okay.
so this is from Nawili
I
G.
knew it. I knew it. Which it's like it's really not fair to only have a quote from some, so I appreciate that.
This is from Nawili G. She says, "If music is playing, I am GONE."
That is exactly how she said it. Yes. Yes.
Let me tell you, I have music playing all the time,
Mm-hmm.
okay?
Mm-hmm.
I use music in my classroom. I
Mm-hmm.
use music in the house. I
Mm-hmm.
use music when I'm walking as my soundtrack. I literally stood at the riverbank listening to D'Angelo, may he rest in wonderful peace, and dancing regardless, didn't matter who was there. I was just dancing and listening to his music, and it was on the speaker. It wasn't in my headphones, it was on speaker.
Mm-hmm.
If music is playing, I am gone.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Talk about art, right?
Yes.
And what art does.
Right. Right. Music, that's a wow. People, I don't know. I do feel like people take music a lot for granted. During the pandemic, I really appreciated everyone that was reaching out to me and other musician friends of mine going like, "Do you need money?" And I'm like, "Yeah." Because that's the only way I made money back in Austin, Texas. I was just like, I played music and I taught music. And I was like, man, yeah. So, but it was, some people got it. And then some people, they didn't get it. They didn't get it. They didn't realize, like, imagine, sure, we have all this music and catalogs now, but imagine if we just stopped making new music right now. Imagine what that world would be like if we complete, or like you were saying in the What You Gonna Do episode, if like maybe we can keep making music, but we can't say what we want to say in that music anymore. Imagine that world too, when we can't actually express what we want to express in our music. That is not the world I want to imagine. I want to go back to, again, the island, smoke on that island,
Yeah,
come back,
yeah,
gather
yeah.
fruit, go
Uh-huh.
back.
Yep. Food, dancing, making love, loving on each other, making babies, all that. All that. And having music in the background.
Yeah.
Music playing in the background.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever that music is, if it's playing on, I don't know, the radio, the computer, or if we're making the music with our hands, singing, whatever it might be.
Mm-hmm.
So, Danny, are we ready to close out? the
Yeah.
2025
It's okay.
season.
It's okay. We're gonna be back. Like this time is gonna go by so fast, and we're still gonna be meeting and stuff. Like, y'all, please come back. I think our first episode's in February, so please come back in
Yes.
February. We'll be reminding you hardcore in January, but it's gonna fly by. It's gonna fly by.
So I
And
guess I should
actually,
close.
can I go ahead and tell people, like, hey, if you have suggestions of people we should interview and stuff, or if you're like, these are topics that y'all should cover, like, please tell us, share that with us. That would be awesome.
Yeah. No, I definitely love that we are putting that out there
Yeah.
because we are creating these episodes for all of us. So it makes sense to get that feedback from y'all. You can put it in the chat right now. If you're
Hmm.
online with us right now, if you're not, later on, you're watching, listening, please put it in the comments. I am right now just trying to hear how to pronounce persimmon.
Oh my God. I was wondering what you were doing with your headphones. I saw
Persimmon.
you doing something weird with your
Yes,
headphones.
yes,
What
yes.
is it?
But I can't hear it. It's not.
Per
I can't hear it for some reason on my phone.
persimmons.
The way the phonetic is persimmon,
Persimmon. Persimmon.
persimmon.
Persimmon.
Yeah,
Person. A person
persimmon. Okay,
man.
okay,
Mon.
man. Okay. So anyway, ah, all right.
uh
So y'all, remember to subscribe. Remember to subscribe right now. Go ahead,
mhm.
just hit that subscribe button right now. I'm gonna give us a moment for you to hit that subscribe button. Okay, I can see if you hit it. I can see if you hit
Oh,
it.
that's true. You could see it.
Oh, yeah. Hit that subscribe button, y'all. All right. Our 2026 season begins, as Danny mentioned, in February 2026. We are taking time to rest and be with our families for birthdays, holidays, and the new year. Danny's birthday is coming up in November. My baby boy's birthday is in November. The other holidays that are coming up in November and December and the beginning of January, right? While you're patiently waiting for our next collection to commence, watch and or listen to the 2025 playlist that we have here on YouTube or on any of your favorite streaming services. The links are below, okay? Help us continue this fruitful work. This podcast is funded by the two of us and your donations. Help keep our podcast going by making a donation through our PayPal link in the show notes below. Okay, so you have links to all of our streaming services below. You have the link to our PayPal donation space, and you also have the 2025 playlist that you can find on YouTube.
No
So,
excuses.
so look, we have it all right here for you. We have it all right here for you, okay? So please subscribe. Thank you so much for being with us today for our 2025 highlights and takeaways.
Thank
So
you.
thank you and enjoy the rest of the year.
Yeah.
Close it out. Remember, rest, love, peace.
Peace at least.
Peace